Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be in Philadelphia. It's about 30 degrees cooler here than in Phoenix, where I'm from. So I'm super excited. And I went on a beautiful walking tour today, learned a lot of Philadelphia history. So today we're going to be talking about how to get 77% more traffic from your existing content. I'm going to share with you why we say 77 based on a case study. This isn't really going to be a TED Talk. I hope I'm going to motivate you to go and take this home and do some stuff with it. This is going to be a nitty-gritty tactical strategy talk where you're going to get a step-by-step process on how to take advantage of your evergreen content. And if I have timed my tweets right, I have just tweeted this out. My handle's on the next screen, but the deck is available at vert.ms/77moretraffic. So if you'd like to follow along or download those or follow me at Quinn CW, I have probably scheduled it correctly. So just a little bit about me. I'm the Director of Marketing for Vertical Measures. We're a search, social, and content marketing agency in Phoenix. And I handle all of our content marketing efforts, and I taught the half-day workshop yesterday. Did anyone come to that? Woo, you guys stuck with me after 4.5 hours of talking. Thank you. All right. We talk a lot about creating new content, developing infographics, videos, articles, all of these things that are new. But most of us have been doing content marketing for a long time. We've been developing content on a consistent basis. We have editorial calendars, and we have been doing pretty well. But it's not always about developing new content. Like we say here, look at what you already have, your evergreen assets, and squeeze a little bit more ROI out of that. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how you can do this. So your goal at the end of today, or maybe when you get back to the office, is to think about a very specific, measurable, and actionable goal. Maybe you want to get 77% more traffic, like our case study. Maybe you want to go for it and go for 120%. Maybe you want to be realistic, 10%. Whatever it is, come up with a number of what you want to see as a benchmark. So our goals are the three up here. Identify and plug holes in your existing content. Grab ranking share from your competitors, so steal it away from them if you can. And also expand your keyword footprint. How many words you're ranking for within the top 20, top 100. So these are our three goals that we'll work from today. So here's a little bit of background. This was our case study where we first modeled this strategy with a client of ours. It was a large enterprise client in the education space, and their baseline was that they only had about 98 keywords ranking in the top 20 in Google. So for a pretty big enterprise company, this really wasn't that fabulous. So we decided to put together this strategy and a recommendation for them. We said, let's make semantic keyword improvements to 25 of your existing pages. And that means we're going to add 187 unique new keywords. And then that's going to improve your content depth, so how long your content is, because when we're adding words, we're adding content depth by 33%. So in the summer of 2015, the recommendations were then implemented. And this is what happened. In the late summer of last year, we saw that they then had 499 total unique keywords ranking in the top 20, a huge improvement. Also, they had 401 new keywords ranking. So this overall was a 409% growth to their keyword footprint. So obviously for us, this was a pretty big win for the client with only 25 pages that we made these improvements to. So I'm going to go through how exactly you can find that improvement, maybe even greater than that, on the pages that you select through this strategy. So here's what happened on their graph. We can see that their trend was kind of going upwards anyway, and then that line there is when we implemented. And after we implemented these 25 semantic changes on the pages, we saw a 77% increase. But the biggest lesson here kind of goes back to this, I think it's Reagan-era phrase, maybe even Kennedy, which kind of different eras, but it's a rising tide lifts all boats. So this was an economic phrase, so if the general economy is doing well, it means that the general economic status of everyone else will trickle down and help them as well. So the idea here is that if you're only targeting, say, 10, 25 pages on your site and you're doing these improvements, it's not only going to affect those pages and improve those results, it's going to rise the tide of all the web pages and your whole site. So here's what happened with this client. We can see here again, they were trending upwards based on a lot of the activities we were already doing for them. But then after these changes happened, they had 167% improvement year over year for their whole website, not just the 77 on those pages. And I do have to have a disclaimer here because there's no silver bullet with SEO. You have to have a good foundation of SEO, technical SEO, structural SEO, all the things that go into having a healthy website to make sure that your content performs for you. You can't have just one tactic like this take you onwards and upwards for the next year. You have to continually be improving, continually be working on your content and on your website. But we can see here that it did really work for this client year over year, combined with the other efforts that we were doing as well. So first, let's take a kind of a gauge of some of the problems that we find with SEO. Because like I mentioned, it's kind of like building a house. You can't build a house without a strong foundation. Same thing goes with content. You can't build content on a website with shoddy or shitty SEO. Okay? So here are the things that we need to address before we start doing any of these tactics. Number one, unintentional duplicate content. I know I talked a lot about this in my workshop yesterday, but it's still something that our SEO team finds happening all of the time. Now, the key word here is unintentional. You might not even know it's happening, which is kind of freaky. But this has to do a lot with your site architecture. So take WordPress, for example. It's a content management system, and it has different ways of duplicating your content. Maybe it's partial, or maybe it's complete on many different pages on the site, like your archive pages, your author pages, your category pages. And if you do not set up your site correctly to tell Google and the search engines what pages are the most authoritative and relevant pages, like with your no follow, no index, canonical tags, then Google is confused and doesn't know what to pay attention to, hence giving you tons of duplicate content across your site. We've seen this with enterprise-level clients, we've seen this with small businesses, and it really comes down to just talking with your webmaster or technical SEO about getting your site structure in order. So that's the number one problem. Number two is page load times. I think there's a stat out there, and it's about for every 1 second that Amazon's site delays in loading, they lose $1.6 billion. Who wouldn't want to get a share of that money? So this is a lot of things that we need to be thinking about with our site. People are going to leave if it takes too long, and Google's going to start seeing this in your engagement metrics, bounce rate, time on page, different sessions that they viewed different pages. So this is important to fix before we start doing many of these strategies. Poor HTML is number three, and honestly, this is just a lazy approach. You need to follow these best practices of title tags, meta descriptions, and all of those kind of on-page elements that are important. Four, poorly optimized images and videos. Oftentimes, this is a really big win for companies that haven't even thought to do this in the past. And it's also another best practice people need to focus on. 5, bad backlinks or not enough backlinks. Links are still the currency of the internet. It's how Google crawls the web and understands relationships between sites. And every link to your site is still a vote in your favor for this popularity contest on the web. So links are still very important. Number 6 would be thin content. So if you don't have a lot of words on the page, you don't have a lot of semantic keyword opportunity. Semantics we're gonna get into in a second, and I'll explain more why these are so relevant to today's SEO. And then lastly, not being mobile friendly. This is just a no-no in 2016. Google told us a year ago, proactively told us, get your sites in order, make them responsive or mobile friendly, because this is going to become a ranking factor. So these are the 7 most common problems that we see where you need to get your SEO house in order before you start improving your content. I'm going to let you read this one. I think I just tweeted it out. I love the delayed reaction. Everyone looks up. The best place to hide a dead body is page 2 of the Google results. I really hope you don't have any reason to, but if you do, you can look there. And really the reason is actually the next slide here. And I see some photos being taken, so I'll leave it up for a second. But 92%, as we can see here, of the traffic share comes from page 1 results, only going to 8% for the rest. So most people are clicking on page 1 links or information because Google has gotten so good at providing the information that we as humans are looking for, that we find the information we need without having to click to page 2 and find a mutilated corpse. I hope not. So, where are you today? Let's talk about this strategy, this SEO 77% strategy. Understand where you are today. What are your baseline metrics? How long are people staying on your site? Are they bouncing away after a certain amount of time? Do they only view 2 pages versus maybe 8 that you think they could? Get an understanding of your baseline so you know where to go and how to reach your goal. And also, honestly, be realistic. Some of us are in small teams, or maybe we're a marketing team of 1, and understand what you can actually do. So let's talk about the 7 steps for following through with this strategy. Number 1, know what content you already have. So figure out the content you have, because why? The investment has already been made. You've already put time and money into creating content, so understand what assets you have to take advantage of. Your competition may have changed. Maybe someone has gone way ahead of you, or maybe you're far behind. Understand the landscape of the competitive nature of search. Maybe your search intent or user personas have altered as you've come to know your audience more and understand what phrases and words they're using to land on your website, also depending where they are in the sales funnel. And then you might have cannibalization happening. So similar content you created in the past might be competing with each other. And really the last one is that things get stale. It just sits there and it's not timely or not relevant anymore and needs to be updated. So here's a tool for a content audit. I highly recommend Screaming Frog. How many of you have used it before? Really great tool. We were just using it at the break. It will scrape your whole website and pull a spreadsheet together with every single page and post an article and image on your website. This is a tool for you to start auditing your content. So you can use that, and it does have that API access to Google Search Console and Analytics. So here are a couple steps. Using Screaming Frog, you do the crawl, and then you start prioritizing your pages. So what are your top pages that meet performance expectations? Maybe you have this page is really great traffic, or this post has great conversions. Figure out what metrics are important for you and see what pages are meeting those expectations. Do you need to update anything? I like to do the ROT analysis. Is it redundant, is it outdated, or is it trivial? Think about it and put an R, O, or T next to it. Is it not timely? Do you need to update it? Is it a 2016 article about the best content marketing strategy tactics or something, but it's already 2018 and you need to change it? Think about all of these things. And then does it reflect your messaging? Is it what you want to be saying? Does it align with your brand? So that's number 1. Just get a baseline idea of what content you already have and what could maybe be improved. Number 2 is conduct a rankings audit. And you can use a few different tools for this, like SEMrush, really great one, Google Search Console, Moz, and Authority Lab. So what keywords are you already ranking for? You're going to find them, and you might be surprised. I've done quite a few of these reports where I find a client's website is ranking for something that they don't even do anymore. So conduct a rankings audit to get that baseline first. Number 3 is to do some keyword research. I literally spent probably an hour talking about ideation yesterday, so this is going to be in about 1 minute. But you want to look at many different tools, like I have up here. Google Suggest, we use it every day. Google is super creepy and tries to predict what we're looking for based on what everyone else is already looking for. Like this one, I started typing in Philadelphia is the city of, fifth largest city, city of brotherly love, capital of what state. So these are based on searches people are already making. Do you guys know the answer? I hope so. So these are the things that we can use as data to start ideating new topics based on what people are already searching for. So my biggest thing with creating content is how can we be the best answer on the end of someone's search? And we need to first find out what their questions are. Use these tools, keywordtool.io, SEMrush. I really like, it's called answerthepublic.com, really neat tool that provides visualization. So understand what the keywords are that you want to start improving on these existing pages that we're going to find next. You can also gather ideas from your internal staff. Ask them one simple question. What questions do you get asked all the time? These are questions that would be possibly being searched, and you can take the next step and research it, but they're questions that are very salient to your business, and someone wants the answer. So why not create content around those keywords? If you want to dig into this, that was, I think, 2 minutes. This is a 40-minute video on our ideation recommendations using all of these tools, so you can go and check that out. verticalmeasures.com/ideation. And my deck will have this as well.
I'm not sure what you said there.
That was amazing because it was perfect timing, and it said, I'm not sure what you said there. I'm sure. But that was funny. Okay, so number 4, keyword prioritization. Keyword prioritization, that's what I said. So which keywords should you rank for, but you're not right now? Because you're gonna see an idea of, I'm not ranking for this really important term for my business, and I should be, so that should be part of this. Also, which new keywords can you add to your existing content? This is where we're going to start improving these very specific pages that we're going to target in a second. So start to prioritize these things. Prioritize them by value, group them by search intent and user persona, which I'll talk about in a second, and then make these short little lists to align those pages for later addition. So you might start to see, okay, we don't have any existing content that talks about this, so that's going to be a new page later. And here are those keywords that I can use on the 25 or however many pages we target for this strategy. So this is what we want to think about, is this huge chasm. What we've got is over here on the left. We understand our baselines, we understand what assets we have, and we understand what we can take advantage of because we prioritized our list. Now we need to reach over, we need to bridge the content gap that is on our website because we haven't been talking about these keywords, and now we want to get to what we want. And what we want is dependent on that 77% or whatever percent traffic increase that you want to see. So now let's talk about how we actually do this. Number 5, target pages for target and semantic keywords. So start to look at the pages that you want to improve. Look for gaps, look for out-of-date topics, out-of-date content, and then look for pages which we like to call within striking distance of page 1. Maybe it's position 12, maybe it's position 15. It just needs a little bit of brotherly love to get to page 1. Did you see what I did there? Okay. So what's within striking distance of page 1? Maybe it's page 2, maybe it's page 3, but if you give it a little bit of this semantic improvement, it could go onwards and upwards. So you want to focus on what is the target keyword for that page. Every page, if you've been doing content marketing and SEO in a strategic way, will have this target keyword. And usually, these are the things that are in the title. So for example, we have an article that's, well, how much does content marketing cost? So our target keyword is content marketing cost. Then, take it the next step and think about the semantic terms. Now, semantic is about conversational. It's about what you would use in a conversation with another human. You're not always going to be repeating content marketing cost. You're going to be saying price. You're going to be saying all different types of synonyms, related terms, because you're an expert on what you're talking about. So it's synonyms, close variants, and they're not always present in the title, but they're going to be part of a subtopic. And I'm going to show you like a very specific example so this makes more sense. So how many of you have seen Pulp Fiction? Okay, so this is an example from Samuel L. Jackson's character speaking to John Travolta. And this is how basically Quentin Tarantino talks. So he says, well, the way they pick the TV shows is they make one show. That show's called a pilot. Then they show that one show to the people who pick shows, and on the strength of that one show, they decide if they want to make more shows. You get the idea. What's the target keyword? Good. Did you like my color coding? I thought that would help. So if we're using this example to learn about semantics for Quentin Tarantino's writings, say our content addresses the topic Fall 2016 TV lineup. Now, our target term is either TV shows or shows. Then we take it a step further to the semantic terms, to those related terms, the related words, synonyms. Television programs, TV series, sitcom, episodes, pilot. It's a different way of saying TV shows. Now we go a third step to related terms. We have season, network, binge watch. It's going to be related to TV shows, Netflix, NBC. So these are co-occurring terms that would go if it was in an expertly written piece of content on the topic TV shows. Does this make sense? Okay, let's go back to, actually, I was going to give you a tool first. You can use this tool. It's the Moz Related Topics tool. Check it out, and this is on my deck as well, is you can get a really cool idea of any topic you plug into it, you can see all the different related topics underneath, and it will give you a really good idea of some terms that you can include. Also, you want to understand that your different people are going to be different, using different terms to find the same information. So you need to start thinking of your personas. So this is our example up here. We've got Bargain Brett on the left. He just wants the cheapest deal, doesn't care what it is, he just doesn't want to pay a lot. So his term, if we're a widget company, he's looking for cheapest widget. Whereas Techie Taylor, he wants to know everything about it. He wants to understand the specs, the details, everything. And he looks for required specifications for widget. But Decisive Dana is further along the buying cycle. She already knows what she wants. She knows the brand she wants, or maybe choosing between two brands. So she's starting to compare. So she's at brand A widget reviews. So understand that different content might map to different personas and different points of the purchasing process. So that's just something to remember when we're thinking of these semantic terms of what type of person are using these words. So then you want to take it to the next step and add the semantic keywords to that content. So here is our rewrite of Pulp Fiction. Well, the way they pick TV shows is they make one episode. That show's called a pilot. Then they present that one episode to the network people who pick the fall TV lineup. There's our target term. And on the strength of that one installment, they decide if they want to make a whole season of the TV series. So you get the idea. We've now gone in, we've picked the page, we understand the keywords based on our research, and we started to do that semantic infusion of the content to boost up the content depth. So here's a little study that came out through Search Metrics, and this basically proves that semantic SEO is really where we're moving nowadays. And it's been around for a while now, but this is something that we need to broaden as part of our SEO strategy. So they said the percentage of proof terms and relevant terms in the top 30 is relatively high, and has even increased on last year. High-ranking pages are much more holistic. And the second one, when combined with rich media and extended word count, so that's the content depth, use of target and semantic keywords can increase rankings. We've seen it on our end, on our site, our client sites, and now the research has actually backed this up. So start thinking also about keyword themes. It's less about keywords, it's about themes and phrases and topics. But also, understand that if you're trying to optimize for that TV show lineup, you actually might be ranking for a lot more than just your target term. And the research from Moz actually gives a number to it. It says over 70% of the traffic you earn for any given page will come from keywords you didn't even try to optimize for. So this is why search volume estimates in like Google Keyword Planner and Moz and some of the others are really unreliable, because you're looking at one keyword. But when you're writing an 800-word article, you're going to have tons of semantic keyword opportunity in there. And you're going to be getting 70% traffic to those keywords versus the target terms. So semantics are vital. Another little snippet here is that 15% of all Google searches, which is over 15 billion a month, have never been seen before. So they've never been searched before, they're brand new, and so this is always changing and it's always dynamic. So semantics are very, very important. So now let's talk tactics. What do you do when you leave here, you go back to the office and you say, we're gonna do this strategy, this content gap analysis strategy, and we're gonna make it work. So how do we get from here? We bridge the content gap to what we wanna see in our results. So I wanted to go back to the case study really quick to show you what happened. So we did the 25 pages, we improved those pages with the content depth, and then that actually related to 2,000 plus we went in the direction of 600 words, but actually research has said that over 2,000 words has a correlation to top 10 rankings. Now, I don't want anyone here to think I'm telling you have to improve all of your pages to over 2,000 words. That's just general research, and for this client, we got to closer than about 600 words. So we didn't get that close, but they only had a little bit before that, about 400. So we increased the content depth as much as we could. And greater depth can also improve your engagement metrics, which is what we were talking about before with page load time. And Google's looking at this. So on the left here, with the case study, the average session duration increased by what? About 30 seconds. So people were staying on the page half a minute longer. The exit rate went down. People weren't leaving as much because they were actually finding the information they were looking for. And then the bounce rate also went way down because that content grabbed them right when they got there. So these were the changes that improved not just the traffic, but the engagement metrics once we got that traffic onto the page. So putting it all together, what do we need to do to make this work? If I timed my tweets right, this should be going out right now, but you can also download this, vert.ms/contentgap. It is a case sensitive, but this is a Google Docs spreadsheet that has this whole content gap analysis within it. So you can use this spreadsheet to go home to find those pages, and let me show you exactly what's in here. So you want to go and start to target those keywords. So you use this framework, you pick out the semantic keywords that you're going to be using. And then you need to address where is new content needed. Do we need to update for timeliness, for accuracy, for relevancy? What exactly do we do? And then maybe you're going to edit the title. So there's a couple different ways to do this, and I'll show you. So first, you can either update the content, so you add that content depth, the semantic keywords, and then you can also just keep the same URL. So this one's just the same. Second, you can rewrite the title using a target keyword variant or a semantic phrase. So the old one might be Prescott New Home Community, whereas the second one would be New Home Development in Prescott, or Prescott. So you slightly change it to include this new synonym. And then three, if you find that you have those competing pages that kind of meet the same search intent, like this example, 10 tips on surviving summer with kids versus 7 ways to cure kids' summer boredom, it's probably the same audience, same general topic, so those might be competing with each other. So you can consolidate those two, and you just want to make sure that you're redirecting one to the other. So if we're taking this literally step by step, what you want to do is go in, fill in that content gap analysis that has all the tabs and the framework for you to actually do this, to find those pages you need, to say, oh, this is what we're going to do, and then do it. And then you edit and check those changes in Word or Google Doc, and then hand it off to your team to implement. Also, you can just go ahead, if you're the kind of marketing team of one or SEO of one, just go ahead, fill out the framework, and then go right into your pages and start making those changes. Now you've gotten your improvements. You've done improvements to however many pages you've had. You've added content depth, semantic value, and semantic keywords, and now you need to re-promote it. You need to take advantage of the evergreen content and amplify it to reach a large audience. Don't just let it sit there and hope that you're going to get organic traffic. You will, but promote it as much as you can, and even maybe put a little bit of money behind it to get the momentum rolling. So next is the last step, is to benchmark and measure, because you want to understand how did this strategy actually help us meet our goals. So look at organic traffic for not just the improved pages, but for your whole website as a whole, so you understand if the rising tide did indeed lift all boats. Engagement metrics. Are people staying longer? Are they engaging with your content? And anything else that you find important for your metrics. So I want to give you our own example. We did a very simple test for this presentation. This was that one I mentioned. How much does real content marketing cost? That was not the original title. The original title was, how much does content marketing cost? So all we did was update one word in the title. Then we went through and added a little bit of semantic keywords, not that much, maybe about an extra 150, 200 words. But what we mainly focused on was the headings, so the H2s and the H3s. Because in answering this question, we also had to answer all of the elements that go into pricing content marketing, like strategy, like promotion, like measurement. How much does all that cost? So we made sure each of those synonyms and semantics were in the headings. And this is what happened. We now rank, when we took this graph, as how much does real content marketing cost? The title is number 1. But now we also rank for research, content strategy, content promotion, education, and workshops, and then a little bit lower for optimization and development. So something that honestly probably took us 15 minutes, updated our rankings, was recrawled by Google, and now we're gaining lots of traffic to this page, which is actually a high conversion assist page for us. So it's driving us a lot of leads from people reading this content and then coming through to get our services for an agency. Not a lot of work, but a lot of improvements and a lot of results. So just a quick summary since I went a little over. 1, take an inventory of your existing content, know what you have. 2, conduct a rankings audit. 3, conduct the keyword research and ideation so you know what you should be using. Target the pages within striking distance of Google so you can get the most bang for your buck and the most effort. 5, go in, add the targeted, add those semantic keywords to those pages you've identified, republish and re-promote it. And then, of course, measure your results and hopefully see the magic happen. So thank you so much. This is up for you at vert.ms/77 more traffic. You can download it. And then if you'd like to download our book, it's a 300-page content marketing book, vert.ms/cmworks. And I know I kind of totally went over my time, but I will be down here for any questions. So thank you very much.